This is a tough crowd to follow. Distinguished guests and colleagues, thank you so much for coming to the unveiling of Charger 1, which marks the beginning of our fusion propulsion research facility right here in Huntsville, Alabama. And I would like to especially thank the state of Alabama for the Alabama Innovation Fund, because of that, it's making it possible for us to complete the reassembly of the machine that you'll see very soon. So I'd like to tell you quickly a story about the journey that we took and then the journey that we're going to take. About 23 years ago, I was a high school student, and I read an article in Discover magazine about fusion propulsion. And I decided from that moment on that I would define my career on that subject. And so finally in 1999, I was given my first opportunity, my first ticket to play that game when I pursued a PhD right here at the University of Alabama in Huntsville and worked under Dr. Francis Theo at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center and Dr. S.T. Wu. And if you fast forward a few years, 4 years ago, I was approached by Dr. Bill Seiler, who at the time was a senior technical fellow at Boeing. And he said, "Jason, I have a pulsed power machine and I would like to bring it to your university and do pulse fusion research. What do you think about that?" So I calmly said, well, yes, I think that would be very well. And of course, on the inside, I was jumping up and down like a little kid. So that marked the beginning of a pursuit of a very special machine. And together, the Propulsion Research Center and the Aerophysics Research Center at the University of Alabama, Boeing, NASA Marshall, if I can single out Rob Adams and Glenn Doty for being the champions for this to help us get this going. L3 Communications, Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Y-12 Complex, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and others have worked together to bring this machine here, to get it operational, and to define the missions and the experiments that we're going to do to help solve these problems and to explore space. If I could summarize succinctly what our key objective is, that is to design a fusion rocket to take people safely to Mars and back in 7 months in a round trip. The problems that have to be solved in order to make that a possibility are going to be solved by young engineers and scientists, many of whom are going to be trained right here in this lab as a part of the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And without further ado, I would like to introduce one very special young scientist, very good friend of mine, my PhD student, Mr. Ross Cortez.